choice of your candidate, you should buy a ticket back to your home and vote. If there's a candidate you don't like, you should also buy a ticket back to your home and vote. My dad told me about that. Do you know what does that mean? Comment below and we'll see, do we have the same opinion? 2024 is a global election year. Countries with most population, including India, United States, Indonesia, and Russia, etc. Many students ask me about the opinions about election and also how to identify whether the candidate is good or not. In addition, students also ask me about how to judge a good emperor or a bad emperor. Lao emperor is the king, which means the one who rules the world in the ancient times. However, whether emperor or president, they are both carrying a responsibility of a nation's leader. So I mentioned an article called 贤有一德. Yeah, what is that? It's one of the chapter Chinese ancient book called the Book of Documents, which is one of the 5 classics of ancient Chinese literature. 贤有一德 said, fate and destiny is unpredictable. Monarchs should consistently maintain and put effort on themselves and the country, so that they can keep the monarch position. If not, the position will be lost. What does a monarch put efforts on? Monarch put efforts to its civilians, treats civilians just like its own child, which means the monarch must know what do civilians need. Making civilians' life better is the core part of the monarch to put efforts on. That's the reason why knowing civilians' needs is so important, especially current era is moving and changing pretty fast. For example, ChatGPT, social media, or things that are related to digital media through international. When I was a little kid, technology isn't that fascinating. I still remember the time using dictionary to looking for whether pronunciation or explanations. Kids nowadays definitely don't know what is it. However, ChatGPT can solve most of the problems currently. Era is changing rapidly, which is the reason why monarchs should maintain to put efforts so that he or she can take care of its civilians. Imagine the monarch knowing nothing about anything I just mentioned. Do you believe that he or she have the ability to solve civilians' problems? Monarch doesn't have to become a master of any specific subject, but the monarch should have the concept so he or she knows what kind of talented people can do the work. Distributing people to the proper position is the ability that all monarchs should have. I understand everyone's political options different, so just so you know, I cannot obviously declare my choice of candidates. However, my choice is hidden in the detail in my sentence by describing and giving hints to express my own perspective viewpoint, which is a method used frequently by Confucius. The Confucius, one of the chapters called 微言大义, also known as the spring and autumn calligraphy method, just so you know. When it comes to politics, it's never an objectivity. It's about personal, so that we should respect to each other's viewpoint instead of criticizing it. So just so you know, this chapter is about my personal viewpoint to judge and evaluate whether he or she is a good president or a good candidate for next president election. Let's continue on my perspective. Here's another historical quote said by Cui Yan. Yeah, who is this guy again, you might ask. His family has the most famous fame at the northern area of China during the Three Kingdoms era. Many poets and students or people studies try to participate in national exams to become official members. All of the people around him knows him. This is what he said. A person with short humane is to save few innocents. A person with boundless humane is to save the country. Humane is the key point determines the fate for the civilians, which we can see a good monarch always think how to make its country better, which is also how to let civilians have better life. I know it's not an easy job. It's sacrifice and pays for a tiny forward progress. However, it takes few years to accomplish. The policy change for current, it might be useless, but it probably will have its value after a decade. It's already a difficult job for monarchs. Nowadays, most countries enjoy democracy, which means civilians decide their presidents by themselves. It would be even more difficult for presidents to start a new policy. Just like I said, people have different options. Civilians may not accept it, especially it influences something that related to profit. However, we can evaluate their methods or policies. Does it benefit the country or it only helps few groups of people? This is the exact meaning that Cui Yan wanted to say in his quote. His quote is a standard evaluation for candidates, in my own opinion. By finishing Cui Yan's autobiography, I can feel his power that he fights for over the justice in his whole entire life. Even though the light is very weak, it is our responsibility to make it bright to the next generations. I'll have this story in the future. This is one of the most interesting stories that I wanted to introduce. One of Cao Cao's sons, called Cao Zhi, he is a poet. One of his most famous poems, called 铜雀台赋, there's a sentence said, "Let the humane right spread thou, popular respect to govern more." The popular here means the population, which indicates civilians. Does your ideal candidate who participate in the election of president have the ability to put efforts on themselves in order to serve the country better? Does your ideal candidate tries to benefit the country instead of specific part of people? Does your ideal candidate knows the importance of humane so that he or she has the determination to widespread humane? I'm really interested in your ideas. Comment below and let me know. This channel currently is focusing on Mandarin literature and histories. My perspective is all influenced by Asian cultures and literature. I would like to know your ideas from all over the world. If you figure out my content has more or less impact on you, please leave a like and share to your friends. Most important of all is your feedback and support, which is the reason why I wanted to let people over the world understand. See you in the next chapter.